The first video introduced us to two very important concepts in Excel: cells and keyboard navigation. Cells are the backbone of Excel. Without a strong backbone, a person will just be a pile of mush flopping around on the floor. The same is true of Excel. If your cells aren't strong, that is, they are not set to have the right information captured in them, your spreadsheet and project will just be a pile of mush, not what you are aiming for, I'm sure. You will learn much more about how to ensure your cells are capturing the right information later in the organizing data session of this course. But for now, the most important thing to know is this: cells should only have one piece of information in them. That means if you want to add more information, put in a new cell. Let's take an example. I have this very simple spreadsheet showing how many chapatis are bought at my restaurant, including mandazis and fantas. If I want to add the 18 that were bought in June, I could go to my cell here in May and then put some space in after 12 and then add 18. However, this would be very confusing as the row says May, so anyone looking at this would not understand why I have two figures in that cell. It will also stop me from being able to analyze my sheet effectively, as we will learn later. So instead, I will delete this 18 and then create Inserting new columns and rows is important as you build spreadsheets and need to capture additional information. You can insert them in two ways. You can right-click on a column where you want to add another, and then click Insert. There, your column appears. The same goes for rows. You click on the row you would like to add a row rather, and then Insert, and you have your new row. You can also use a keyboard shortcut to add columns and text, and that works by highlighting the row you would like to add the column and then click the buttons indicated in your hint sheet. Another very important Excel tool that we will need to learn is one of keyboard shortcuts, using the keyboard as much as possible. Even if you are an experienced Excel user and computer user, you are much slower when using the mouse than when you're using the keyboard to move around. By using the keyboard to move around Excel, you will save huge amounts of time that will add up to many days of your life if you use Excel frequently at work. There are hundreds of shortcuts that will let you do the functions and tools in Excel using only the keyboard. We have highlighted the most important ones in your Excel reference guide. For now, we will cover the most important ways to use the keyboard. First, use the arrow keys to move around. Right now, I am clicking on the right arrow key, and now the up arrow key. You can see that I can get very quickly over to another cell without having to click the mouse. Second, you can use the Shift plus the arrow keys to select multiple cells. Let's say that I wanted to select all of the data in the chapatis column. I could click and drag with my mouse. I click the top of the cell and then drag all the way down the column. But the faster way is to click on the cell where I would like to start highlighting and then hold down Shift plus the down arrow key. And once I do that, I simply quickly go down my cells. Pretty handy, huh? But even that's not the fastest way. Let's go back to the top of the column. Now I am going to press Shift and Control and press the down arrow. Boom! It has selected all of the cells in the column with me only hitting the arrow once. How it works is that adding Control to the Shift plus arrow makes Excel keep selecting cells until it hits an empty cell. This is great if you want to select a whole row or column like we just did. Third, we can also use the Tab to move to the right and Enter to move down. Right now I am clicking the Tab key while now I am clicking the enter key. Now, why would we do that when the down arrow and the right arrow can do the same thing? Well, tab and enter have some tricks up their sleeve that make them stronger than the arrows in one important way. Let us imagine that I would like to change my column header here to Ugali. Once I click on the cell to edit and then move with my arrow keys, as you can see, they simply take me to the left and right. However, if I would like to move to the Mandazi cell while still in edit mode in this cell, I could click tab and it immediately moves me to the next cell. The same works for enter. If I am in edit mode, the down key does not allow me to move to the next cell. However, if I press enter, it allows me to move down the cells. Fourth, if Excel is part of your job, you can be sure you'll be doing a lot of copying and pasting. So it is really important to know and master 3 keyboard shortcuts in particular. Look at your reference and see the shortcuts for copy, cut, and paste. They are pretty easy, just Control and a letter. Let's put all these tools together to show what they do. Imagine that I want to cut this column that has my chapati sales and move it to the end of my spreadsheet. I start at the top of the column, hit my shortcut to select the whole row, and then hit my cut shortcut, move to the end of my spreadsheet with my arrow keys, and then click my paste shortcut. Boom! A few seconds only. It will feel awkward using the keyboard like this at first, and you forget some of the shortcuts, but you know the solution, don't you? Practice. Practice, practice, practice. If you push to use these tools and not to fall back on the mouse, you'll be blazing fast in Excel in no time. The last thing we're going to learn in this session is about formulas. Formulas allow us to conduct calculations with our data or to speed up our data entry or management. There are dozens of formulas that you can use in Excel, but there are just a few that you will use regularly. To start a formula, you will always begin by typing the equal sign in your cell. This tells Excel you are starting a formula. In this case, I want to calculate the total of all the food that I sell in my restaurant each month. So I'm going to go to the first cell in the total column and press equals. A total is addition, so I'm going to move my cursor over using the arrow keys to select the first data in the April row. Then I am going to hit the plus sign, which indicates addition. Then I need to select the data that I want to add. So I move my cursor to the next cell on that same row. I will then again hit my plus button and then select the final cell. Once I hit enter, Excel completes the formula and adds all the cells together, giving me my total. I can do the same thing with other basic calculations. Imagine that I wanted to know how much food I sold without the drinks in the month of April. I move to the next column, hit the equal sign, and then select my totals column, then click the minus sign, then choose my drinks cell. Once I click enter on that, I get the results and Excel calculates for me my food without my drink. You will learn several other formulas in Excel throughout this course. For now, the other important symbols to know for basic calculations between the addition and the subtraction sign are the asterisk, which indicates multiplication, while the / indicates division. Hope you enjoy your journey through Excel and have a great time.